inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs, creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another great episode of the CEO Show. Remember, this is the 33rd episode and we are coming to you live on our platform. Talk of YouTube, we are live. Facebook, we are live. And also tonight we are live on TikTok. Please ensure that before even you go on with this conversation, please tell us where you're watching from and also share this particular episode for somebody to know that you're watching and for people to be part of this amazing conversation that we've prepared for you tonight. Where are you watching from? Are you getting us loud and clear? That's very important. Which show is this? This is the CEO Show. Remember, this is a show that always comes to you every Tuesday. And the main objective of this particular show is always to bring you great personalities and trailblazers from different industries. People who are going to inspire you, are going to motivate you, and also they are going to give you amazing insight. Not forgetting, educate you on different issues and different industries. And I'm your host, yours truly, Dan. Tonight we have prepared another amazing guest for you. Who is our guest tonight? Our guest tonight is one of the greatest personalities of our time, a young person who has proven beyond reasonable doubt that you can go extremes, both extremes. You can rise from nowhere to somewhere. And this is a young man who has proven that commitment, resilience, and hard work really pays. Who is our guest? Our guest tonight is none other but Mr. Damian Matelong. This is a new house in town with the newest book in our shelves. Have you read about it? You need to understand this and get to watch this particular show for you to know. This is also the CEO and the director of MARADE Consultants. He's going to tell us what he does. This is an HR consultant, a guy of many hats. He's going to tell us more. I don't know if he's been herding cows back in the days, but he'll tell us. Please tell us where you're watching from and be ready to learn from this particular episode. Where are you watching from? Tell us on the comment section. Damian, karibu to the show.
Thank you very much.
You just came from a successful launch of your first book.
Yes.
How does it feel?
Of course, we thank God. It was amazing.
Yes.
I know this is my first book, and I really want to thank God because it has been successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate the members who came, including, of course, you. And, of course, the people who came, and really, we had a very nice time. So it's wow.
Okay.
And I thank God.
Okay, now before we talk even about the book, who is Damian Matelong?
Thank you very much. And first, by the way, I want to take this opportunity to appreciate this, time to be here. I think, as you say, this is the 33rd, yes, episode, and I really want to appreciate the guests that have been here before me, and also the good work you're doing, reaching out and so much. So I want to really appreciate that. And as you say, Damian Matelong, yes, this is me. And Matelong is a consultant. I'm a human resource consultant at MARADE Consultants. This is where we do, human resource consultancy. We build capacity with organizations on various areas, and especially on leadership, because John Maxwell said, everything will always rise or fall on leadership. If you see today organizations are doing very well, then look at their leadership. And of course, the opposite is true. Everything will rise and follow. And of course, what we are doing is not about just leadership. We are doing about effective leadership. We do, customer care, we do stress management, we do emotional intelligence, we build people emotion, because people nowadays have a lot of stresses. And you find someone, in fact, in HR we say sometimes, it's good to have good skills. In fact, we normally say hire character and train on the skills. Good character is very powerful. So that now we have people who can be able to really take organizations to the next level. So that's what we're trying to do in MARADE Consultants, building capacity. We also reach out in schools with young people, because these are our futures. We talk to students in high schools, we build capacity with the teachers and so forth. So that is actually me, and I'm also married with a wife, and I'm happy that she's watching live at home, Viola. Married to one wife, and blessed with baby Tiffany, a girl, and we thank God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, looking back now, where did you grow? How was it being you growing up from a young boy to where you are currently? Just share a sneak preview into your journey.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a man that has been raised from, I've been born from, coming from Transmara. Born and raised from Transmara, specifically Kilgoris. That is a place that I've been raised. Went to school, in Oltangi Primary. Thereafter, I went to, this, actually I can be able to say also we came from a humble background, because after finishing the primary, I went to a school in Transmara East called MARADE. Just by that time, I think it used to be not day schools actually. Of course, it was a day school, district schools. And then that's why, as you said, that we bet all odds, because we didn't go to big schools per se. Like, people expect maybe, in fact, sometimes I'll ask you, did you go to Kapsabet High School? No, we went to small schools. But now, we bet the odds. We rose beyond the odds, actually, trying to work hard. And by that, we came to the university. I came to Mount Kenya University, did my first degree in human resource, becoming human resource. I didn't stop there again. Went for my master's. I did a master's of science in human resource at Jomo Kenyatta University. And as I speak, I'm now doing my PhD in business administration, master in MARADE University. Okay. And that tells you that, it doesn't matter where you really start. And that is why, in fact, because you've talked about the book, one of the topics that I've written in that book is about action habit, that you need to start from somewhere. I think you were there when we were launching a book, when the keynote speaker was talking about the challenges. Each and every time saying, we will, trying to, I will do this, I will. And I think he gave it in a very powerful way that in the Kalenjin dialect, that tune, tune, I will open a shop, tune, I will do something, And for you to move and even rise, you must act. The action habit. That's why it's always good that, in fact, someone said that 20 minutes of doing something is more important than the 20 hours of thinking of how to do it. Start, and I think someone said a journey of 1,000 miles start with a single step.
True.
And many people have so many ideas. In fact, when I wrote this book, people called me. In fact, people called me and told me, oh, by the way, I have a lot of books in my mind, but I've never written. A friend of mine called me, told me, I have even a topic, I have even the chapters in my mind, but I have never actualized. And those are how dreams actually die. Okay. I think even was it Buret who was sharing that, it was from a training, and people were sharing that sometimes the very wealthiest place on earth is the graveyard. Yes, cemetery. Because people have been buried with ideas. True. They never actualized. Someone has a very powerful plan of, starting a business, starting, an industry, starting, of going to school. And that is why I think one of the things that I can be able to ride on is actually the ability to actually execute, even small steps. Because I remember when I was starting even my master's in Jomo Kenyatta University, I just went and took an admission letter, without knowing that, Kumbe, it was the power of actually allowing me to move. True. So I started there, and this is where we are. And of course, I'm trying to look in the next 2 or 3 years, we have the new doctor in town.
Okay. But now, you seem to be this kind of self-propelling kind of a person that motivation in you comes from inside you, like you as a person. But all the way to now, at a younger age, achieving close to be a doctor, where do you draw your inspiration?
Of course, one thing that always makes me move is, one thing that I always say is, and I think I've even given in my book, the power of clarity of where you want to be. If where you want is not clear to go, it's not clear, you can't move. Because sometimes people have ambitions, people have goals, powerful goals. People start with the year and say, I want to do this by the end of this year. But sometimes you find someone and you try to ask, is it really clear of where you want to go? For me, what I really say is that I know where I want to be, and I'm trying to look at it very clearly. Like when you look at this book, I did it for the last 4 years, actually 3.5 years or something. And you'll be shocked, by the way. In fact, the guests that I invited and the people that came, I had actually planned some few years ago. Because if it's not clear, you can never claim it. You see? And I'm also trying to see on how to really also impact others. Because at the end of the day, we also need to build others. So I actually draw that inspiration that, I need to move. And 2, I want also to build the other team, the younger generation, for them also to rise, because this is the younger generation are the future of this country. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now, I just want to get it so clearly. You are an HR consultant,
yes.
And now you're a holder, and you're doing a lot. You're a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
You are a coach in terms of even personal branding,
yes,
business branding, and what have you.
Yes.
But you growing up, what is it that you aspired to be?
Now, that is, in fact, when I was
growing up in Transmara.
Yes, where I always say I killed many lions.
Yeah, dead lions.
Dead lions. Yeah. You see, in fact, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a policeman.
Really?
Yes, I wanted to be a policeman.
But your dad was not a policeman.
I actually like the way policemen used to march. Anything to do with the discipline forces. That was my... In fact, when I was in high school, I was in charge of scouts. And I used to do very well in command. In fact, I commanded one time a district kind of scouts into the national levels. I used to like the way they march, and so I liked. So I wanted to be this askari, either jeshi. And by the way, most of my friends went to those discipline forces. I have a lot of friends, and in our times, the 2 professions that are very popular. The forces, the discipline forces, and the teaching. So I wanted, because my parents are teachers, I said, let me, choose to be a policeman. But of course, kawaida, when you grow up, you unafika mahali, like, oh. And again, in fact, kidogo, I tried a bit, ikaumana, and then when I now changed, there's this man, my principal, who is called William Kipto, was my high school principal. I liked the way he used to do his administration. And I said I want to be an administrator. If I miss becoming a policeman or a jeshi, I want to be an administrator anywhere. And in fact, I was still even eyeing to be an administrator with the Ngao, like the National Government Administration Officers, the DC. So I was saying, let me just try to be an administrator. If I land in the discipline forces, okay. If I don't land, I become an administrator, maybe in an organization, a corporate world. And that's now how I came up doing human resource. Okay. And in fact, I had actually 3 mentors. I had him, William Kipto, who is actually my principal, and then I had Reverend Naikumi, who was like also my spiritual father, who is Narok. And then there's another guy who used to be a manager in an NGO called, I don't remember his name. There are 3 guys, and I like the way they used to do their things. In the spiritual matters, the administration matters. So I said I need to be an administrator somewhere. So and that's how I came up. And that is all, by the way, I want to tell people, in fact, the young people that are watching, that the aspect of having a mentor in life is very important.
Very important.
Very important. Whom are you looking up to? You don't just grow, because I always say there's always someone better than you.
True.
Including what I do in HR. There are people I'm following. Look in the mentorship area, like Kilimo Forward in my book. These are the people that I'm looking up to. Because you never say that I'm the only one who is perfect in my area. And the people who impacted me now, like the principals, and these are the guys who impact now when it came to Kilimo and many others. That's how I came now doing HR. And I like HR because it is a field where you interact with a lot of people. I like, interacting. I'm a social person. So I like assisting people. You talked about branding. Branding is powerful. In fact, it's a new thing in town. Branding is powerful. And I always say, by the way, nowadays, in fact, in HR, we don't promote people because they have papers. Yes, papers are good. Those are skills. Maybe just to explain, we have two types of skills. We have the soft skills and we have the hard skills. The hard skills now are the papers that we have, the master's degrees, the bachelor's degree, the class A's and so forth. Those are the, hard skills. And we always say hard skills can give you a job, but what will maintain your jobs are the soft skills.
The soft skills.
How you relate with people.
Okay.
How you communicate. How you brand now yourself.
Okay.
Brand is what people say about you.
Okay.
We'll
get into that because you tend to cover a lot within a very short time. But now, talking about, because you're one person who you are a beneficiary of mentorship back from high school.
Yes.
And also you speak to students at large. That's what you do. But now, do you think our current students who are in high school have they think they know it all? Because we are dealing with a generation that is very, very tricky. And sometimes they tend to know everything. As you go to schools and what have you, do you think the current generation are ready to be mentored and follow somebody, or they know everything?
Thank you for that question. I want to say that we have the Gen Zs and the Alphas that are coming. And I remember even the Bishop of Chumba, Nandi, there's a time we spoke and we met with young people. One thing that the young people actually need to understand is that, yes, the knowledge and understanding in terms of knowledge they have, but experience is what is very important. And someone said experience is the best teacher.
The best teacher.
Yes, sometimes people say because of the information that you know, yes, it is good to have information. But it's also good to learn from those who are ahead of you. And I think that is what should be sung with our young people, because sometimes they feel like, with the coming of technology, the ChatGPT, they don't need to really be, assisted to move. And it is a very, very important aspect of life. I can actually attest that why not for mentors? Look at Dr. Brady, whom we were together in the launch. This is the guy also who really shaped, my path. And why not for them also to hold my hand and tell me, this is how things are done. This is how you really speak. This is how you stand. Look at Kilimo and so many others whom I'm following, So you cannot just go alone. And I think that is one aspect that now we are there now to tell our young people, even when we go to schools. Yes, there are others still who really say, yes, I've gone to school. Others tell me, by the way, I need to learn one or two things. But you find others who are like, anyway, nini. And it is an aspect that I think we now need to go out and explain to them.
Okay.
That, mentorship is very key. Being taught and be ready also to learn from someone and, sitting down and listen. There's this narrative that has been going around that, whatever an old man sees when he's seated, you cannot see when he's standing. That is an aspect that young people should understand.
Okay.
Sometimes I see them trying to, discuss with the older people and, trying to push in here and there. But they should understand that these guys have come a long way.
Okay.
And they need to learn from
And
them.
they know something that they don't.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Bigger.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, what is the major challenge of the young generation that we have currently? Being a speaker and having interacted with this young generation mostly, where do you think is the challenge that we are currently facing with the young people?
Thank you. One of the aspects of those is the issue of, we have now the social media thing. The social media has come really to now affect a lot of young people. Because because through social media, you are a product of three things. You are a product of what you eat, what you listen, and what you see. You see? So, and that's why, in fact, when I wrote this book, in fact, someone was saying, if you want, Kenyans are not readers, actually. Many, of course. Of course, I don't want to say all of them, but many of them don't read. And you find now people leaning away from, reading the books and going away to social media, which is not bad. If it is used well, it's good. But now you find young people getting vices that are not good from the social media. I've seen TikTok. The way things, I think now they have control. I don't know if they have control because I'm not there so much, but sometimes you find the way things that are being done in the TikTok, young people are learning, bad things in social media. Look at drugs. Drugs is now becoming a menace in our schools. And drugs, in fact, in our time, I think when you were growing up, marijuana, wasn't a popular thing, by the way. In fact, bang was like a taboo.
In fact, by you mentioning it, it was illegal. By you mentioning, not even abusing.
Yes, not even abusing. It was illegal. Saying bang, it was like, But today, you find young people, it's normal. Someone to abuse bang, and that's why now you find people, in schools, wamechizi mbaya sana. Because of course, the effects of bangs, the way it is, hallucinations here and there. And now it tends to now, lose focus to these young people. Look at alcohol. In fact, someone was so much surprised. Asking me, Matelong, you don't take alcohol, man. I was like, what do you mean? It is now, normal for everybody.
It's obvious.
It's obvious for everybody to take a beer or something. You find these guys nowadays going to Airbnbs, taking alcohol till the morning. In fact, there's a time I used to stay near Poly, and some people came and took, I think a house, there was a party or something, and we used to have our kid in our place. Sasa unasikia kelele bwana, ili inatoka asubuhi, inatoka hapo saa 2 ya usiku. Nashanga, what is happening? And then I was like, who is? And then I just tried to inquire from a friend of mine who used to stay, opposite. He was a policeman. I was like, wewe afende, wewe unafurahia kitu inaendelea hapa? Kaniambia, by the way, ni kama, because now saa 3 walikuwa wameweka double. Unasikia tu kibamba sana wapi nduru. So I was like, so I asked him, are you happy with what is happening? And the guy said no. And then I asked him, do you have, uko na uniform? No, but niko na bunduki. I told him, toa twende tuangalie what is happening here. We went with this guy. This young man was a policeman ambaye ametoka from Vuo. Akaenda to forces. Bado hajapata ile. So I went, in fact, mimi ndio nilikuwa mbaya kuliko yeye. Nikamwambia tuingie nyumba.
You are the policeman.
I was the policeman.
More than himself.
Mimi nimevaa blue jacket na kofia. Nikamwambia, so when I knocked that door, house number 1, a young man came, amelewa. Nikamwambia, can you open this house? So I asked him, do you have a license kupika kelele mpaka sasa? Jamaa, he doesn't even understand. When we went inside, we met over 30 young men.
In a small room?
In a small room, and girls. That was the first time I saw shisha. I saw sijui what, all kinds of beer, alcohols and so forth. When I tried to ask these guys, wengine walikuwa from Poly, wengine walikuwa from wapi, and I was shocked. In fact, some were from, let me not mention the villages, first years, and they were, so siku hiyo nikateka advantage because tulikuwa na askari. Mimi nikawaambia jamaa, chini kila mtu. Niliitwa afande bwana, nilisikia mzuri kumbe mtu afande.
But now seeing the whole scenario, what is it that ran across your mind in our times and age and to our kids and the future of our young people?
It's what we actually, of course, said again. We don't have, the role models, because nowadays, as you say, as I've said earlier, many people are abusing these things. Our young people are lacking role models, and even others also, the young people don't want to be mentored, you see? And then, of course, now the peer pressure that is coming a lot. Where bwana Buddha, if you're not taking bwana, where unakaa mnagani? So I'm trying to look at, that issue. And that's why we need to step up with our churches, with our, mentors in the field. We need to up our game. Because if we don't act, let me tell you for free, alcohol will do away with our generation. if you see these accidents that are happening, I saw when we were planning this event, my launching was a book. I went and I saw a young man with a bodaboda amegongwa na kwa bypass hapo. Kuuliza alikuwa amelewa, you see. So our future is going to die just because of, not really trying to see these young people. So we need to act as people, in the field, mentors in the field, the churches. We need to up our game and talk to our young people.
Okay. Now, as a lecturer and being an HR consultant, you deal with young people at the same time in the universities, and you are an HR practitioner.
Yeah.
Now, Damian, tell us now about the future of employment in our nation. What do you foresee? Because back in the days, all of us we used to study to be employed.
Yeah.
But now, as you teach in class, as you offer consultancy services, where is the future of employment in our country?
Thank you. Let me say, of course, going back from 1995, whatever, let me say 2000, and backwards, because that time you used to finish actually high school or even university and you get a job. In fact, people who finished high schools in 1970s, 80s, mtu naingia kazi, KCB, KC, But now, when our population grew, of course, our jobs started, opportunities started shrinking. And again, we used to have a lot of industry in these countries. And it now comes again on issues to do with leadership again. Because we used to have organizations here like, Raymond's and so forth, and they used to take a lot of people. But now, when you try to look at the future of employment, yes, there is a problem. In fact, colleges and universities are churning out almost 7,000 graduates every year. 7,000. And I think the government can afford around 350,000 in a year. Now, if you try to look at the gaps there, then there's a problem. And that is why I think even CBC is coming strongly to really teach people on issues to do skills. Because I believe myself again that, jobs are there for the right people. And by the way, there's narrative that they say jobs are not there. Yes, I can also say, let me say 50-50. They are not there, they are there. Because sometimes you find people being given a job, a young person being given a job. Within 3 or 4 months, mtu ameharibu kazi. And you're like, this person amepewa kazi. Ameharibu, nashangaa mtu, the targets afikishi. The guy is not even, ready to go beyond, what he's supposed to do. So I can also say, jobs also are there for the right people.
In such scenarios, Damian, do you think it is incapacity or having the wrong people for the wrong jobs?
Both. Both. Sometimes we have people who actually did professions and careers just because others are doing. And that's why sometimes we have even stress levels in organizations and workplaces. You find someone who is not even happy doing what he's doing. Frustrated. Either someone went to the university to do a course because a parent told him or her, go and do this course. And that is why in my book I've talked about passion. Do what you love to do. Because if you put passion in whatever you do, we have seen people. There's a girl ambaye anatemeshanga uji town. Amesomesha watoto. They are now in universities. Others are selling mitumas here because of loving what they do. Passion, There's another one ambaye anashona viatu hapa. Ananiambia mtoto wake kwa lands, Ana lands, how much money do you think a land he will be paid as a school fees? Because of that passion. And I think even with the young people sometimes, in fact, it's not about what you do that matters. It's about how you do that matters a lot. I think even where you do your baba and where you do, many outfits here and there, it depends on how someone does it for you. Because at the end of the day, in fact, mtu ambaye sometimes ananisaidia mimi kunyoa, it's just because of how they do their things that really makes me now move to that particular person. And the same way in the organizations. People, I think I gave a story of this young man in Rivertex, the way he liked doing his job in Rivertex and the passion, and people liked him. He's indispensable now because of how he does passion in his work. So, and even the Bible says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your mind. Because now, unapata mtu ambaye anapata kazi, kidogo kidogo, ameanza kusema nimefika sasa, nachukua kalona hapo kidogo, anaanza kuringa, and you find, kazi ile mzuri. So I can still say, yes, sometimes capacity, and sometimes people also are frustrated. They didn't do what they like. So joy, actually fulfillment also, when you want to really move with something, love it with passion, give it 100%. And I think I said the other time, you give 100% unless you're donating blood. That is the difference. And now it now boils down to what we call personal branding. That is how people will notice you. Even when you are given promotions. Going to school, those are basic skills. Yes, you can have papers. But now the how. How is your name when it's mentioned? Are you this person that people will say, yes, this guy is a go-getter. This guy can really move things faster. This guy can be able to help us. Or you are this person, when your name in pension, they say, oh, we jamaa sumbua kabisa. Okay. So that's the problem sometimes that people don't know, even with the young people. Okay. Because sometimes you find, and that is why we normally have inductions and organizations even building capacity, so that people understand that it is mostly on the how. Dr. Griffin, the founder of Sarebo, said, I think you have heard this statement, who said that he told the boys that outside there we have young people who do things half-heartedly, who do things grudgingly, and who do things poorly. Don't be like them. This is Griffin who was talking to the boys of Sarebo. And by that, let me say, my father, you saw, he's an alumni of Sarebo Center.
Oh, no wonder the English. Okay, now I'm so keen also to get to know this. Now, I'm sure you've sat in interview panels and what have you. But now the question is, what is it that employers look for in employees? What is it that they want, really? Yeah.
Thank you. You see, interviews, and that is why when I was starting, many people, small things matter. When you walk into an interview room, I can be able to tell the way even, and that's why now branding is coming out as the main thing in this talk. We normally see even the way you are walking in, the way you sit down, and so many things we are trying to look at. Of course, we have the issue of the CVs, we will look at that, but at the end of the day, how do you position yourself in the soft skills, the way you communicate, the way you sell yourself in this particular organization? Because what if you are 50, what will make an interview panel to hire you and leave the 49 is how you sell yourself. Okay. How you actually articulate what you say you know. And even explaining with confidence. And that's why I've said the soft skills are very important. The way you communicate, the way you carry yourself, the way you explain, what you know. Because we have people, by the way, who always read, but when they are told to explain what they know,
it becomes a problem.
Yeah, the confidence in you that I'm able to really move this organization from point A to point B. That confidence, that ability to really explain that I can do this, I can actually make a difference. And, at the end of the day, when we look at that particular, because we have now competition in the whole thing. So we are trying to say, how do you become unique? How do you stand out? And in my last chapter in the book, I've written about stand out. Even the way you dress can make a difference. Okay. And so forth, yes.
Now, in a nutshell, Matelong, because I'm sure people are watching also, they have keen interest. Most of them are going for interviews still. Most are looking forward for promotions and all that. But now, in a nutshell, you're going into an interview room. What are some of the things that somebody should, because when we talk about confidence and all that, but there is always this question that, tell us about yourself. How best can somebody answer that?
Of course, when people ask, tell us about yourself, people are just trying to see, you don't explain so much. In fact, nowadays we don't, that is, they need to understand, of course, your education background. They need to understand, of course, who you are in terms of maybe, of course, the names, and then, of course, the education background. But don't again give a lot. Pampa ya primary sahi, si lazima you give all those things. In fact, You can start with the high school and then of course move to maybe now the college, and then of course mostly now demonstrate to us what are you able to do, what are you bringing to this organization, you know, what difference are you going to make. If you were given that statement about tell us about yours, we want to know your strengths, you know, what are the abilities that you have. Let it be so clear, even in your statements, that, you know, maybe if you are this person who wants to be promoted, you know, try to also explain that, you know, in my last organization, I did this, and of course, I increased maybe the sales from percentage 1 to percentage to from 10% to 20%, you know, because you are given 5 minutes actually to brand yourself, and mostly the you know what we call what you'll be able to achieve should be more clear to the panel. That, you know, this kind of person, I'm a go-getter, you know, I'm passionate about my job, you know. Don't give stories so much that, you know, you need to end up primary wapi. People don't care about that. It is already in your CV, you know. So you can just tell a person, yes, your name, and then of course now move to the real thing that, you know, I have this particular, I have a master's of maybe a science in human resource or a bachelor's degree in human resource. And, you know, I've worked in this industry where I learned and about, you know, how to really promote or even brand or even sell. Of course, I learned maybe issues to do with accounting and so forth. And, you know, when I was in an attachment, I did this. You know, let that ability of you to do something it should be clear so much as you talk to the person.
Okay, another question that is always very challenging these people when they face the panel. Tell us about your weakness. Tell us about your strength.
Yes.
That is something that always gets people off guard, and rarely do people know how to answer that particular question.
Yes. Now, when you are told about let me start with the strengths. Of course, strengths is obvious. Of course, the way you explain, the way I've just explained. Go to the achievements you've had. My strength is, you know, this person who can be able to really, you know, help the organization or even put analysis. Maybe if you are doing analysis, maybe if you are doing accounting, I can be able to actually tabulate or do whatever things. Maybe I'm not a person in accounting or something, but I can be able to really plan the books of accounts very well. That is my strength. I can be able to really have team spirit with my colleagues and so forth. When it comes now to the weaknesses, don't tell people that, you know, I'm this person who gets angry very easily. You know, that question now is very technical on how you are going to really tackle it. Use it, of course, you can be able to say, this person, of course, who sometimes I multitask a lot. You know, I multitask a lot. You know, and when I multitask, I find sometimes maybe not focusing in another area. But now, don't leave at that area. Show ability of improvement in that weakness.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't just say, you know, I'm weak in, you know, I'm a multitasker. And then when I handle a certain project, it fails. No. Of course, you can say this multitasker sometimes, and when I multitask, maybe one project or one item can be able to go down. But now, you now give an ability, show interest that I've improved. Say, of course, but now I've engaged a person, I have a guy who have taught me on how to really focus on one area, on how to really balance on that. So I'm improving on that particular area. So don't just leave it that way, because they will actually be very keen on how you'll answer that particular question on the weakness. So yes, give a weakness, but now show also ability on how to improve on that particular weakness area.
Okay. Lastly now, about confidence.
Yes.
This is yourself. Somebody said that nobody was ever born a confident or a courageous person. Confidence is learned, confidence is practiced, and all that. Being a speaker, I'm sure you didn't start it when you were young or all that. It's something that you picked along the way, and there is a way that you learned. Because there is something you shared that you were given an assignment the first time. By the way, how was it at your first assignment? I'm sure that you didn't perform 100%. But with regard to confidence, how can one build confidence? Because in the current times and the current time and age, confidence is a key or an outfit that somebody should dress in before even leaving your house. how can you build and with connection now to your experience?
Yeah. Thank you. And I can always say practice, practice, practice. You know, and I think we are even in an age whereby we are now having the YouTubes, you have the social media where you can be able to learn. But practice, practice, very important. Before you even address or a congregation, you must practice first. You know, go to a room and learn on how to speak, see on how you're addressing people, and as I say, practice also. Like in my first assignment, of course, it was not easy, by the way. It was not easy. Because I saw a multitude, it was on Journey, and I saw a multitude of people, seated, parents here and there. But you see now, when you stand, and someone said, if you want to really build, don't see people in their eyes, see in their heads. So unaangalia kwa vichwa namna hii. Because if you see your eyes, you'll be intimidated. So you see their heads namna hiyo, and of course you stand and speak. But at the end of the day, it's about practice, practice, practice. Learn how to do that, see how people are, and of course mentorship is very key. How others are doing it, learn from them also. Follow them. Like I used to follow the likes of Kilimo and many other friends of mine who used to do that and see them how to do. They are doing that thing. And of course, I go somewhere, of course, and then I practice in my own way, and I start to go.
But you to become a speaker, was it by accident or it was by design?
Now, that is a very interesting question. By the way, me being a speaker, I think it just came. Of course, I used to love speaking. Mimi ni mtu naongea sana. But now motivation, nilijipata ndani. Because when I left Mount Kenya University, I used to work with Mount Kenya University in Mombasa. Then I came. Of course, I stayed in Eldoret a bit. And one time when Kilimo came to speak to us in Mombasa, I said, then I think we discussed a bit, and he told me, by the way, so naweza tabianga to kufanya one or two things, and I was like, oh yeah. And then of course I told him I speak. And then of course he explained to me what happens in motivation, and so. And then I gained interest, because I also have that urge also to speak to the young people. I was mentored, and I also need to mentor others. So I said, I think it is also a field that now that I'm a person who likes speaking, and through that, sometimes also you can also get some few coins here and there. Why not? I do what I love, and then of course I get also some few coins here and there. And that's how it came. So I started, I think in 2018, kidogo hapo na pale, going to one school to another, being sent with some other colleagues of mine. And within no time, I gained some practice, I gained some experiences, and within that time also, I found myself being a speaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you attach value now to it? Because there are a lot of people who always have beautiful ideas. They're out there doing things for passion because they just love doing it. But now the conversion of the money bit, because everything at the end of the day, you have to earn something from it. Yourself, you package it, and you made it a career to some extent. It was paying your bills.
Yes.
It was a source of income.
Yes.
How did you manage to convert that? Because many people will always have this challenge of converting a beautiful idea into a source of income. How did you manage now to convert your speaking skills, your motivation, all these inspiration talks and all that into now paying your bills, meeting all your needs, and also having it as a source of income other than lecturing and all that?
Yeah. Thank you. And I appreciate the people who went before me. Look at the lack of Kilimo, the Ambrose, Emmanuel Meli, these motivational speakers who were there before me. These are the people who did the groundwork. So now when I came to the field, I found these guys now already have taken over. And, they used to explain on how, this thing can be able to be an income generating activity. So it is about now packaging. How do you package yourself? And, in motivation, the marketing scheme is on stage. Yeah. Because people, of course, know that you're not going there without being paid. Of course, they can be able to. So now the amount depends on how you position yourself and how, again, you sell yourself on stage. That's how value is created. If you go there and, because let me tell you, As much as we have social media assisting us to market ourselves, but let me tell you, the stage is where you either make it or, kill it. The way you present yourself, the way you really position, and even now package yourself as a speaker means a lot. So when I now came, actually I didn't even know how to price myself, because when I came to the field, I used just to, think like, how
are you answering now this question? Tutakupea ngapi?
It used to be very hard, by the way. In fact, there's a time, the first time I went was Nilienda, was it Kapkemich Girls? Now on my own. You know what I did? In fact, where it all started, after now, me getting this aspiration to become a speaker, is that I went and said, how am I going to market myself? I went to a studio, took a photo. Then I wrote a big statement about myself.
A
Profile. Kantika, Matelong is what. He's a career guy, Then, nikaeka mtandao. So it went to a school in St. Anne Kapkemich school, and I was called. We saw your picture in social media. We want you to come and talk to our students. Unalipishwa ngapi? And I was like, hey, sasa. I actually said some amount ambaye walishanga wasema, hey jamani, anasema ukweli ama si ukweli?
Are you serious?
Are you serious? Because now, to me, what I mentioned was a lot to me, but to them they were like, hey, is this guy serious actually? And that's why, in fact, now I came to my team thereafter, and they told me about pricing, how you can be able to price yourself. So, but again, it depends on how you negotiate. Where now negotiation skills come in, because many of the schools also want the best, but they want to pay the less. So at the end of the day, also again, it depends on how do you also do the negotiations and discuss. But the stage is very important. What people say now about maybe you as a speaker makes a lot. Nilisikia, in fact, we alikuja shule yangu, he did a very good job. That now makes a difference in all these things. Yeah.
How you execute?
Yes, I execute it.
Okay, now moving very fast now, because our time is much moving.
Yeah.
I cannot move without talking about this. There is the issue of mental health. And when we talk about mental health, as a child practitioner, there is always the issue of stress management. And mental health is connected to the same. Do we have a society that is stressed and depressed currently? Because we hear a lot of cases of suicides, we hear a lot of cases of even manslaughter and all that. Do you think we have a society that is very stressed and depressed?
Yes. In the Christian faith, we normally have what we call the evil the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit.
True.
Now when you come to the other side, the devil himself has also customized something called the evil Trinity. Stress, anxiety, and depression. The three. I can say yes, to some extent. They say everybody is stressed, like the degree of
varies,
because you cannot avoid to have stress in
you
life.
Cannot afford.
You cannot avoid, because it can come from any source. It can come from finances, come from relationships,
can be social,
economical.
Yeah,
And that's why in my book I've talked about the danger of comparison. Sometimes you compare too much. You end up, in fact, the other Roosevelt, which I've quoted in my book, said, comparison is the thief of joy. In fact, many young people who are stressed today are not stressed because they lack money. They are stressed because they are comparing themselves with someone else. Naona huyu mtu ni kama ako juu kuniliko, amevaa kuniliko, ametengeneza nywele kuniliko, ako na sijui nini kuniliko. He's driving a car, that is not, I cannot even be able to measure with myself, And then you find out someone who is not appreciating. I've also highlighted on the power of gratitude, the art of gratitude. Now you find guys here who are so much into comparison with people. Kumbe nisingekuwa accountant, ningekuwa mwalimu. Stress inaingia. Of course, comes to relationships, come to what. And I think now the way people are approaching issues is different.
Okay. The same with business. When you see Dandan is doing
Good.
textiles, and you
want to open.
You want to open yours.
It's called the kiosk mentality.
Okay.
You know, kiosk, unapata kiosk karibu 10 imefungana hapa. Mtu hapa anauza majani hapa, mtu anauza majani hapa, mtu anauza majani hapa. The kiosk mentality. You always think that the grass is greener on the other side.
On the other side of the fence.
Which is not actually true. You can actually excel in an area that...
In your own niche.
Your own niche. You know? We must not all be people who do textile. Now, if, yes, you say, I want to be like Dan, who will be the HR?
True.
You know, I grew up with Rudisha. Rudisha is a man who was my head boy in primary. So
The one Rudisha?
David Rudisha, yes. So Rudisha used to run 400 meters.
Back in the days?
Yes.
Not 800?
800, yes. So one time, alipiga race mbaya sana. Interclasses, akakuja zones, district, paka provisional hapa. So when he came here, akawekwa gazeti. Gazeti bwana.
David Rudisha?
David Rudisha. In fact, the gazette was saying, following his father's footsteps, because the father was an athlete.
Yeah.
So on Monday, jamaa akatokezea gazeti bwana. And the head teacher akafurahi sana, akanunua gazeti yote Kilgoris. Yote. He brought all them to school.
To school.
Class 3, class 2, class 5, class 8, staff room. Now Rudisha was the talk of the day. Not even talk of the day, the whole month. And sisi tulikuwa celebs. Wala ambayo tunajulikana. But when Rudisha came into play, nobody was talking about us.
You are forgotten.
Yeah, sisi ni wale watu ambayo Kilimo used to say ati ukipiga noisemaker, hata unaandikwa noisemaker na uyuko shule. Na uyuko shule. So, but now when Rudisha was there, ameingia gazeti, until we ask ourselves, what has happened? The teacher told us, by the way, Rudisha amekimbia, ameingia gazeti. What have you done? Tukasema hata sisi tutafanya kitu. Tulijaribu kuimba ndio tuingie gazeti. Hatufika hata sijui zones. I tried IJAM, I never even did anything.
Because you just wanted to
yes, to I want to be, yes. Until I say, let me run also. You know, I ran. But now the problem is I ran on a wrong race.
You went for walking race?
I went for 24. While others were taking 200, I said 24. Ati juu niingie gazeti haraka. 24 kumbe ni kusunguka kiwanja 24. 10,000 actually.
Yeah.
24. And it has a formula, unaanza pole pole. Mimi nilifanya opposite.
Ukaanza na 100
waliposema pap nikaweka 100 meters. Round 1 I was number 1. Round 2 I was two leading. In fact, were telling me Matelong, move, open, move. Mimi naambia piga picha weka gazeti kwanza. Piga weka gazeti. You know, I was round 3, round 4.
People are celebrating.
Round 4 now, there's a teacher called Mr. Omare, came with a big board. Imeandikwa 20 laps to go. No, round 4. My friend, wacha ulimi sasa ikaanza kutoka nje. Round 5 I was, round 6 wala wa jamaa walianza vizuri wakanizunguka karibu mara 3. Tangu kulikuwa na msituni kiwanja. Of course kama umezungukwa na kuna wajamaa walikuwa wananilinga na mayo. Kwenda umetwaibisha sana hapa. Mimi niliingia msituni pa. I came to realize kumbe Rudisha was meant to run and win gold for Kenya, while myself are meant to teach and to be a speaker and to be an HR. Everybody can actually excel in an area. You don't have to be...
You don't have to compare yourself with anybody.
Anybody else.
Yes.
You know? If you see, and by the way, sometimes you might never know the source of the money they have. You might see someone driving a very big car who know their source. You know? And you feel like, oh, you know, this is jamaa amefika mahali amefika. No. You know, when you just excel, the Bible says God will bless the work of your hands.
Very important.
You know,
because you see Dan posting on a BMW on Facebook.
Yes.
Tomorrow you struggle to get one.
You go and take a loan. Maybe Dan ako na 200 acres nyumbani ameuza hata eka 5. Kuja BMW.
Ama nimepewa birthday gift by dad. Born from some good family.
Yes.
You never know.
You never know, by the way.
It's true.
And by the way, you know, people don't show. People never say though.
It's true.
In fact, people never say their source of money. Wanakwambia tu ni Mungu mazee.
Ni God.
Ni God.
But they never tell you.
They never tell you kumbe aliachiwa billions in the account. Na wewe unakuja huko unasema kumbe by the way. Na unajua unapata mtu anakuambia by the way mimi niko tu a small job. Ati I'm just a junior employee. But unaona gari and so kumbe kufanya kazi kwa hiyo organization unapata pesa mzuri sana. Not knowing that maybe kuna kitu ana compliment mahali ambaye akwambii.
Akwambii definitely.
Yeah. That's now where people really get it wrong. Because someone lives in a 3-bedroom house. And that's why appreciating, in fact, in this book I've talked about the art of gratitude. You know, life is so powerful. And life is about blessings. Sit down and really see. We have a lot of blessings. Someone said, I was crying about shoes until I find someone who never had legs. You know? Taking stock of who you are. In fact, someone saying health peke is well. You know? And that's why I'm talking about turning your moments into greatness. Because it is about trying to look at the small things that sometimes we ignore.
Okay.
We ignore. Wewe uko kazini mahali kidogo, you start small. You start small and grow. You don't have to really copy people on what they are doing so that you can be able to, if you can really give effort in whatever you're doing, give energy, jitume, you can be able to go far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before you talk about the motivation behind your book and also to understand more about the journey, you've been one consistent person from back in the days, and you've been doing it, keep pushing it, and to where you are. It is an attribute that we can tell, and also we can see from you. Like you've been doing it consistently over time. But sometimes we have this challenge of young people moving from this to this because they want to leave this, the next day they are doing this. The patience is something that we lack as people. Now, in conjunction with business, what is the effect of not being consistent in whatever one is doing?
Thank you. And that's why someone said, success is not what happens occasionally. It's what you do consistently. You know? Consistency is actually the word. Doing it, because if today you come and market your product to me, you know, it will actually linger in my mind that someone Dan came and told me, kuna kanguo, kuna kasuti anauza. So next time if you still come and explain, by the way, you know, I explained last time, at least I see there's some seriousness in this guy. The other time you'll come and explain, this guy is on this thing. But now if you explain the suit, tomorrow we're uko mechanics. So who are you? And that's why sometimes now it becomes hard to create an identity because of lack of consistency. Actually, lack of consistency now will actually try to kill, you know, your brand and even identity going forward. Because people don't know now who are you in details. Consistency will now assist you being known over time. So that now, in this town, and I'm happy because I can also connect with D-Square. You know, when you talk about D-Square, it's about clothing. Whether ni suti, whether ni kushona, whether ni nini. You know, as much as maybe kuna vitu zingine ambayo zinakuja, but the main thing that is rallying about, you know, is about the clothing, the textiles industry, which is very important. So that now, people can identify you with. People can actually stand and talk. Just like even in the university nowadays. We are told to be an authority in an area. You know, when you are rising up in the university, you know, you don't have to do.
You have to specialize.
Like for me now, I did become HR. I came to do MSc HR, and probably I'll specialize in my PhD in HR. You know, an authority in it, so that now you are known in one area. You don't start with a BCom in accounting, then shift to be a teacher. Of course, it is possible, but at the end of the day, who are you, you know? And that comes also to business. And yes, consistency sometimes is hard when nobody is clapping for you. You know, and that's why the motivation
should be intrinsic.
To be intrinsic. I met a guy who does well in he has so many schools in this town. So I asked this guy, how do you really make it? Because you have campuses of schools, a group of schools, and he tells me the why should be very important, which I can also relate in business. Why are you doing this business? You know? Why are you really doing it? If the why is not clear, my friend, it becomes hard. Because if the why is not clear, then you get a small setback. You give up, you know. Then it means the reason behind you starting this business was not very strong. But now if the why is so clear, but I need to do this, I need to grow this business, maybe to touch people, or maybe to really expand or not. It becomes easier to move even when challenges are hard, because it is you. And now again, it comes with the one thing that we're talking about. Hope you didn't see someone else doing it, then you copy it, because you may never know what he's doing behind the scenes. And I think I heard someone in this talk, which is true. Business is not easy as the way people say. There are so many things behind it, that you need to really fight with, financial struggles here and there. Because business life is not straight, per se. We have hurdles here and there. But how do you rise to the occasion? So if you have this person who have, the reason why I'm starting is because it is me. Actually, the motivation behind is you 90%. And inside there, you motivate yourself intrinsically. That this thing, I'm going for it.
Okay. I'm
standing for it. I'm very sure. Even remember when you are starting the businesses that you started, maybe some were saying, hey, utaanza kweli, because you have sometimes naysayers who try to discourage us.
The wet blankets.
Yes, they tell you, by the way, unajua, mimi nilijaribu hii kufuga ng'ombe bwana ikanishinda. Zilikufa yote. Wewe unataka kufungua, wewe utaweka kweli. Him failing.
Siku hizi biashara ni mbaya.
Mbaya. Him failing doesn't mean that you will also fail. It depends on how you approach it.
True.
And as you say, consistency is very key.
Okay.
And now when you start, and that's why again, it depends on preparation. Before you come on stage, have you really sat down to really plan? I teach sometimes on entrepreneurship. Business plan is very important. Planning. Planning and saying, how am I going to really work on finances, work on, the resources, the human resources who are going maybe to work for me, or even is it me, myself, and so forth. Those are the things that sometimes we need to understand, so that you don't reach somewhere and someone tells you, by the way, if you don't have that inner motivation, you'll close shop.
Okay. And it reminds me that somebody said that when the why is not very clear, X becomes prominent.
Yes.
And then, now, Matelong, talking now about the same, sometimes we tend to stick to one business for some time, of which probably you are not meant for the same business. And you find that sometimes somebody closes shop and they open another kind of business, and they do very well until they get to a point whereby they regret it. I wish I would not have done this kind of business before. I wish I would have started this one earlier. And talking about changing, because change is constant.
Yes.
And I was reading your book the other day, and you talked about even
Toyota.
Toyota was a textile company sometimes, but now they shifted and they did very well in cars. Now, at what point now can one convert instead of being consistent always, knowing that this one is not working, I need to change the gear, I need to shift? At what point can somebody get that vision to do that?
Yeah, that's why in my book I've talked about the magic of change. The only thing that is constant in life is change. By the way, sometimes also in life and in business, know what is working and know what is not working. That ability to know. Because you can feel it. This one I, imenikata. Because sometimes you find someone who is really pushing, yes. But if you try to see the way things are moving, it is not. That's why it's good to sometimes sit and have evaluations. That's why you find organizations and companies going to retreats. They're not going to take tea. They're going to evaluate themselves. What are we not doing well? What are we doing well? What are we going to improve? And that's why it's good also to do what we call a SWOT analysis each and every time as you move. In this business, what is it that is not working? What is it that maybe I can be able to change to improve on my particular strength? What can I change fully? Like now the Toyota family, yes, they actually changed, and today they have a philosophy that the car in front of
the car in front is always Toyota.
It's always a Toyota. And they have come of age. And they have come of age because of a principle that is called, of course, Kaizen. Constantly improvement. Continuous improvement. And these guys always say, what do we change? People sometimes, and that's why you see Safaricom rebranding each and every time. Walianza na kitu inaitwa sijui tuko. There's a song that I started with tuko na Safaricom.
Tuko na Safaricom.
But today I don't know which they have another. They have changed in fact almost 5 times to suit rebranding. So even in business sometimes you also need to reevaluate yourself. What am I not doing well? What can I improve? And what can I change to suit a particular niche, to suit a particular market, depending on even the customers. I'm very sure even this way, there are people that you started somewhere and you're like, oh, I need to meet this niche.
Yeah,
let me change here. I need to expand maybe to now, like I'm seeing you're doing a lot of things in men, you know, and you know, you really also came of age and so forth. So it is good for someone to evaluate him or herself continuously. And ask yourself hard questions. And don't really fear to change. Yeah. So that now, if you are seeing an opportunity that's coming somewhere and you're feeling that I think I need to brand a bit, then go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You've talked something about retreat and all, and all that. HR, I know HR is wide, and many companies, HR plays a critical role. Yeah. That is why I'm so keen on a number of issues. Talking about employee welfare, you've seen the company is never about the CEO. The company is not about the management sometimes, because we've talked about the leadership. But now it's about also the staff.
It's true.
The importance of staff welfare, ensuring that this staff is, because we see other companies, they'll take their staff for retreat, and by doing that, it's a type of motivation. But there are some companies that they tend to like, they don't appreciate, if I can say, the importance of having that employee. Speaking to employers, the importance of their welfare.
Very important. Now, the most important assets in the organization are people. You know, and that's why in HR we try not to call people as employees. We now treat people as partners, because they are also part and parcel of the success of the organization.
True.
Without that watchman in place, I can tell you, without that person who is the head of department somewhere. That is why I want to encourage even, you know, sometimes people don't really put a lot of force on the issue of HR. Unapata the CEO is the HR, the owner of the institution is the HR. But of course, I don't want to downplay the power of what they have to do. But again, organizations understand that the key people in organizations are employees. And that's why they need to be, of course, given a lot of attention on issues to do with how their welfare is. Because if today you motivate me, and apart from maybe salary, and you know, do maybe a retreat or maybe add some bonuses here and there, I'll get motivations to continue working. You know, that's why when you try to see organizations that are doing very well, you see them actually trying to give attention also to their people. You know, because these are the people who are behind the success of any organization. That's why you find organizations that they're having, as you say, retreats, there are bonuses. And when you look at the way these organizations are moving, they are doing very well, because they have actually realized that the most important assets in organization are people. People. And that is why, in fact, I've seen organizations who bring speakers between the weeks to speak to these employees, just to motivate them, just to tell them, you know what, it is possible, you know, in various topics, you know, because sometimes, si lazima upeleke hata watu nje, by the way. It's just small things that matters that you do. You know, ita mtu akuja afanyia motivation kidogo, and you know, or sometimes, you know, recognition. I see people sometimes they say employee of the year, employee of the week, you know, and those things, best performer, they play a very big role in the motivation of the employee. When this employee is recognized, he will go an extra mile, or she will go an extra mile in making sure that she will perform. If this employee is told, yes, you did the best today, that person always will go out and move. So the owners and managers of organizations will also understand on the issue of balancing, you know, when do we bring these people, in, and even see them, of course, as, because I know, of course, sometimes we have issues here and there, but the approach of actually even handling these things matters a lot. Sometimes you find organizations who treat their employees like they're nothing. And I can tell you for free, which I started. Every organization depends on how that leader is effective in actually handling the employees of that particular organization. Because if you get it wrong with the employees, my friend, you're going nowhere. And if you get it right, you're moving very well. You're good to go. On small issues that matters a lot. The recognition, the promotions, and so forth.
And handling their grievances, very important.
Listening. Even listening itself is very powerful. That amekuja amenisikiza, I had this issue, but this guy was open to me, listened to me. Hata kama uta-solve, my friend, but because you have shared, someone will say, amenisikiza. Very important.
True.
Very important.
Okay, now, Matelong the Howler.
Yes.
Talking about now, you a week ago, just the other day, not even a week ago.
Yeah, Friday.
You launched a great book,
Yeah.
Turning Your Moments into Greatness.
Yes.
People, currently we are saying that when you want to hide something from Kenyans, hide in books because they rarely read. And you're moving from age where people prefer, you've talked about you are made by three things, and one of them is about what you listen. People are now preferring doing more of soft copy, more of listening and watching. What is it that inspired you to sit down and do this amazing book? What is it that, where was the inspiration from?
Yes, I did this book because, one, I saw people really giving up too soon. Yani unapata mtu, someone is giving up too soon. You've heard of homicides, suicides, just because maybe mtu, maybe because you're talking about business, maybe business imeumana.
He lost value in life.
Lost value in life. Ama mtu ameacha because of a relationship. But you see, life is a journey. And life is about moments. So it's not about what happens to you that matters. It's how you actually respond to what has happened. And many people are reactive and they are like, kind. You see? You find someone who has stomached for maybe 3 years or 4 years. Someone is like, imeumana. But I wrote it because out of experience and where I came from, and even many people that we have worked with, I've seen people whose moments have changed. Where I am today, where you are, this square was not actually, it came from somewhere. I saw this square, you started with a small shop in Ketias here, small shop. And I think you expanded, and where you are today, you have grown, and moments have changed, But now people don't see that. That's why in this book I've talked about trusting the process. In life, there's something that's called trusting. People don't trust even the hard part of even moving in life. Because I know it has not been easy to really open this square and many things. There are so many things. But people normally don't want to see that. They don't want to know that, this guy, ilifika mahali akasukuma, kafanya nini, and people lose hope and they despair. So this book I wrote to encourage someone that however much where you are, maybe you are this person who has finished high school or finished university and you're like, there's no hope. Even if it takes some time, the God that we serve, as long as you're still living, has good moments for us.
True.
And moments will always change. Look at Jalango. Jalango was this guy in the TVs playing Baba Shirandula and so forth. But Jalango now is a member of parliament.
And a graduate for that matter.
But when you look at his story, my friend, you wonder, this guy, the background that he came from was hard. At Nairobi, did all sorts of jobs, including Mujengo. But he pulled through. You know, came to the theater industry, did very well, put passion again that I've talked about, you know, and daring. And today is where he is because of, you know, that particular thing. So moments can change, but you must be very deliberate.
Okay.
They can never change if you just sit down and say, oh, I'm waiting for the moment to change. You must actually have the steps. That I've talked about now, the processes of that, you know, the danger of comparison, the art of gratitude, you know, resilience, you know.
Okay.
And even in this book, I've talked about the setback, your comeback moment. You know, setback sometimes can be a powerful comeback. I've talked about Messi in this book. Messi, you know, was born with an issue of growth. In fact, at some point, alikuwa anadungiwa dawa ambayo inaitwa growth hormone syndrome. Sasa alikuwa anadungiwa dawa nyingine ambayo inafanya ndio akue. But now this guy never even grew. In fact, he was given a name that we call flea because he was so short.
Stunted growth.
Stunted growth. This guy, because he loved football, of course, he went to an academic club, and he now turned the setback into a comeback. Kumbe hii shortness yake, he used it to his advantage. Of course, with the center of gravity, when you are short, you become
the COG.
The COG. You become more stable.
More stable.
You become more stable.
But there are people who complain. Mimi nimekuwa
Mfupi.
Yes. You keep on complaining about your challenges.
Imagine your challenges. But Messi took it positively. With this shortness of mine, now that I'm stable and speed, my friend. This is the guy now who is the GOAT in the football field.
Talk about Mwala.
Inspector
Mwala.
Inspector Mwala. You know? Yeah, in fact, the first time I saw Inspector Mwala with Mama, is it Mama Kayai? Alikuwa anabeba kama mtoto, yani, you know. He took that setback into a powerful comeback, akacheza kama mtoto mdogo. And again, when he became now of age as a father, he again rebranded himself. Akaanza kujiita Inspector Mwala. And you know now the show is doing very well. So you can actually turn. COVID-19 was a big setback for many people.
True.
People lost jobs.
And even businesses.
Even businesses. There is a lady who lost a job, I think, in the hotel industry. But that lady saw an opportunity of selling the masks. Unajua, when COVID-19 was at the peak, his mask ya blue ilikuwa ya madaktari peke yake.
That was for the high end.
High end. When you have a blue mask, my friend, wewe ulikuwa mtu kale sana. Wazee ulitoa wapi hii? Sisi tulikuwa tunashonea hivi taxi ile nguo unaosha. Tunakumbuka.
Yes. So that you recycle.
Recycle. So this lady
saw a niche.
And she stood somewhere in Marriott. I used to see her every morning with her daughter.
Selling masks.
Selling masks. And one time I was like, let me ask this lady, by the way, that lady told me she bought land through the proceeds of selling the mask. You know?
Really?
Yes. She actually, you know, people are, aungeingia of course town bila mask. So, anasimama tu na kupeana, you know, and that lady was telling me, because now, ilikuwa inauza 50 bob. She sold bana. And she bought land. She turned her setback into a comeback, which many people sometimes see failure as a dead end.
I'm done.
I'm done. I'm doomed.
And by the way, Matelong, come to talk about it, a lot of people, that is now when, during the COVID, most people now did their channels, whatever, and all that, because you see that the most popular channels that we have currently were started during those that period.
The podcast.
The podcast that we have.
Yes.
So you find that it's about converting.
It's true.
It's about converting.
Yes.
But let me ask you one thing about the same. We've talked about moments and whatever. Now, are moments made, or do you make moments, or moments happen?
And that's why I've said you must be deliberate. You know, when you're talking about turning your moments, you must be very ready to really be, deliberate to change moments. Because someone said that, you know, opportunities are not given, they are taken. You must run into opportunities. Nobody will.
They are grabbed.
And grabbed. You never grabbed. You don't just sit down and that's why when you are doing, even when in the university, before you you come up with a topic, you must understand, is there a problem? Is there a gap? That is also something that, in terms about moments, is there something that you can be able to see? Seeing opportunities, trying to see opportunities that can be able to help you propel into powerful, moments. Like I'm sure there's a lady, by the way, again, who really also lost her job in 2020, and I think I've even highlighted her in this book. She lost her job, and it became hard, But she decided, in fact, again, she opened an hotel, ikakuwa ngumu. She decided to open a mitumba business. And today, she's doing very well.
Thanks to COVID.
Yeah, thanks to COVID. So, in a way, you create, of course, sometimes you can talk about luck. But even that luck, if you are there to just say without grabbing that particular, it becomes hard.
Okay.
So, at many times, it is you to grab and create that particular moment.
Perfect.
By running onto it.
Perfect.
And if you get it, of course, push to the end.
Okay.
Yes.
Run with it.
Run with it and, create a niche.
Okay.
Now,
because our time is, we are getting to the tail end of this particular conversation. Now, 10 years.
Thank you. Of course, I want to see myself as a person who is going to create impact to the society. I want to really see myself in the next 10 years. Of course, having impacted a society that is ready to actually also come and change the other society that's coming. Want to build people, want to build organizations, want to build this country. That is where we want to move. Because at the end of the day, if we have a rogue nation, a rogue generation, then we have ourselves to worry. Because our kids also will be in a very bad places. So I see myself as a person who is trying to, in the next few years, I want to raise also people, want to touch people. And of course, in the area of human resource, also want to build capacity with organizations and so forth. So I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, we have a society that's ready. And us as now mentors, we want to actually hand over very well to the next generation.
Okay.
That's why one of the things that why I did that is in writing this book, because, they say if you want to leave a legacy, do three things. You either, one, plant a tree, have a son, or write a book. And I've written this book so that not even 10 years, beyond 50 years, people can still stand and come and read this book.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
4 days ago, you launched the book. How many copies have you sold so far?
Well, I think now closing to almost 300.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yes.
Keep doing it. We're so impressed. And just with that being your camera, your closing remarks to our viewers tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I want to really appreciate the viewers who have taken their time to come and listen to this particular show. And I want to really say that, yes, truly moments change, but you must be deliberate in making sure that you change your moments. And I want to tell people, either the young people, the business class, the family people, it doesn't matter where you start. What matters is where you're going, and what matters is actually the passion and the push that you give to where you want to go. Otherwise, I want to wish you all the best. And let's be there, all of us, to turn our moments into greatness. Of course, our books, the book that I've written here, they are there. If you want a book of this particular copy, you can just call me, and you can be able to have this particular book. Otherwise, thank you very much, and may God bless you. And may God bless you as you turn your moments into greatness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been an honor to have you on this particular show.
Thank you.
It's something that we've learned a lot, especially as both in business, in career, and all that. And that is the aim of this show, to always inform and educate our viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, for tonight it is a wrap, and thank you for being part of this conversation. It's been an honor to have you, and we look forward to have you once again. Come next week. We have another great episode prepared for you. You can't afford to miss. See you next week. May God bless you, and have a good night.
Markets and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show.